Hi.
Oh, hey, sir.
Do you like scary movies, sir?
No, not at all, actually. You know what? I haven't tried them in a long time, so maybe I would know.
What's the last scary movie you've seen?
I have no idea. I don't even know what a scary movie really
Yeah, nothing
is
really
classified as.
Nothing really scares me anymore like it used to.
And I think that you might be right about that. That's what I was thinking. Is it?
Like you just watch them and you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like this is BS.
Yeah.
I want to say that the weirdest movie I ever saw in the theater was, well, when I was a kid, I saw Predator in the theater, and I was scared.
Oh, yeah?
The original Predator, yeah. Like, I remember thinking, like, why in the hell did my parents take me to this movie? Like, it's like, are they nuts or what? Let's look up when that came out.
Yeah, go ahead. I can't even take a guess at that. I didn't see it at the theater, though. So
I'd say 85-ish. Oh, you're 87.
87.
Yeah, so I was 11 years old. Watching Predator. And then the movie I really hated, but I never saw it in the theater, was Silent Rage with Chuck Norris. I wanted to watch it so bad because it had Chuck Norris in it, but it was so scary to me.
Really? I never saw that movie. Silent Rage.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
about a guy that he's kind of a druggie, and Chuck is I don't know if he was a Texas Ranger in this, but something to that effect. And he goes to this guy's house to apprehend him. The guy's like kind of, whacked out. Mm-hmm. And, they have a little fight in the yard. Chuck takes him down, puts him in the cop car, gets him to the hospital, and he busted out of the cop car. He wedged himself in the back seat, broke the rear door open, and then he got shot, and they blasted him to pieces, right? So they bring him to the hospital, and a side project a couple guys in the hospital they were working on was this thing they can inject into the person and make them where all their wounds heal themselves.
Oh, wow.
So they used this guy as a test dummy, and they injected him with this stuff to make all of his wounds heal. And so it starts working, and this guy comes back alive, and then he's out to basically get Chuck and get back at him. And the guy's just like, he's just a killer, like, because for whatever reason they thought it was such a great idea to take somebody that was whacked out and mentally disturbed and make them unkillable.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Solid decision. Of course, one of the scenes is they first bring, when he comes back to life, and then he kills the guy that, helped him. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like right away you're just like, oh, great move, dude.
Yeah. Right.
It's actually a good fight movie for Chuck Norris too. That's what always made me mad when I was a kid, because I wanted to watch it so much because there's a lot of fighting with this guy, and so Chuck fights this guy like throughout the movie, and they'd shoot him, they beat the crap out of him, he would throw him out of a building, and he would heal back up and get up and start coming after you again. So it was a little this is before Terminator.
I was gonna say, it sounds like Terminator.
Yeah, this is before Terminator.
So they got the idea,
or at least before T2. I wouldn't be surprised if this was around the time of the original Terminator. But yeah, real weird movie from that standpoint. And they had a good fight scene at the end. Chuck kicks him into a well, or throws him into a well. He uses one of his trademark kicks, knocks him down. Then he throws him into a well. And, so they do the, just falling down the well. And
I'm seeing on, there's a YouTube clip. Silent Rage Fight Number 1, remastered in HD.
Wow.
I'll have to check this out.
Yeah, what you go to is the final fight.
Jeez.
There's a good...
Look how young Norris was.
Oh, yeah. And to be honest, he's still pretty old here by, those kind of standards. Because, he's probably in his 40s here doing this stuff.
Yeah.
You hear my mouse clicking? I got the new silent mouse.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, ready?
Yep. For real?
I'm clicking right now.
Just sounds like you're tapping your desk there with your finger. It's not loud at all.
See? Now I just need a silent keyboard.
That's freaking nice, man.
Pete Phillips will be happy.
You will. Man, that is
honestly cool. I don't know if I listened a little bit to Justin Doyle's podcast I did with him talking about my dad.
Yeah.
And I listened to it. I didn't have headphones on, and I was listening to it, and maybe he took them out, but I didn't hear the clicks that much in there.
Yeah, I think he was able to take them out. And I explained to him, I'm not sure if he was able to take them out. And whereas mine, like where I ran into trouble was where you're talking and clicking at the same time. I can't take them out. I think
it's over the top.
Yeah, it's over the top. I just can't do it. But and plus, it would just take an ungodly amount of time.
Right.
And I think Doyle was really committed to doing it, whereas I was just like, you know what? Our fans are used to this by now. It's been 7 years.
It's like, if you're not used to this now.
But at some point there, you're really going off the hook the other last episode, and I was like, whoa, Jason, we need to
go off the hook.
And I was even messaging you. I'm like, dude.
I know.
To click it. And it's just a habit. I know. I mean, it's just... But yeah, it's all good. So we ordered the new... I don't remember... Did somebody send me the link to that mouse? I think maybe Doyle did. And... I
don't know. You just sent it to me, and I got it because I'm like, I'm going to try it.
You're like, ordered, and the next day you got it. Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it was nuts. I can't believe how quickly you can get this stuff.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, oh, he'll get it after the Nats. And you're like, next day you got it. We didn't get to try it out to now, but yeah. That's cool. Well, we solved that problem.
Yeah. Now we just got to do the keyboard. Someone sent us a link to a keyboard. Now we're going to get a link from somebody that has the keyboard and the mouse as one unit.
Well, then you could ship that mouse up to me.
Right. We'll have an extra mouse.
All right. We need a link. Somebody did, and I believe it was Almond McLean. He sent us a link to I think Dell made it. It was just a quiet keyboard.
Okay. We need a Logitech.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm sure Logitech makes one because they make that mouse. So.
Yeah, it would be nice to get a Logitech.
What's it called? Logitech? Is it called It
says on the bottom M330. Maybe that's the part number. Now we need a silencer from the toolbox.
You need a silent keyboard, silent printer. What else do we got going? Get some acoustic. Get some acoustic foam for your office there.
We were just at Starbucks, and somebody was coming through, with their old, with the stereo system, booming. and the license plate was rattling. I was like, oh, they got to put that Dynamat in there. Wasn't that what it was called?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I wanted to get that so bad for my car.
And I'm like, it's like, I don't know anything about this, but I remember that name for some reason. Must have been a good name.
Dynamat, I think.
Yeah, Dynamat, I think is what you put.
So freaking expensive, though. But, man, I wanted to trick out my 95 Civic with that.
Do you think everybody had a 95 Civic?
I think so, yeah. Man, I love that car. I don't even know why I got rid of it. I sold it in 2001, I think. Dynamat. Oh, look at this. You can get you can go to Walmart. You can buy it on their website.
Really?
$149. 36 square feet bulk pack, 9 sheets. My God, the photo. Oh, okay.
The photo's from 95. 1995.
I don't even know what car. I don't even know what the hell.
Some guy with his turquoise pastel colors.
Make your stereo sound twice as good. Turn down the road noise. Reduce buzzes and rattles.
There you go. You know, there's going to be some people listening to this that are really knowledgeable with that stuff. They got to send us some kind of message.
Look at these YouTube videos on how to install it and stuff. Yeah, I remember I wanted that though, but it was just too expensive.
I remember telling my dad I wanted to lower my Ford Ranger and put big wheels and, like cool big wheels and stuff on it. And he's just looking at me like, why would you want to do that? I'm just like, oh, that's cool. People are doing that now. They lower their trucks and they're like, they ain't worth nothing. He's like, you bring that back to trade that in, they won't give you shit for
that. He was right.
Now I catch myself telling people that type of thing.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I was all into like that in my 20s. I wanted to, trick out the Civic and, you want the exhaust system, of course. And, and now when you see a car go down the road that exhausts, you're like,
you're like, what an idiot.
Yeah, I'm like, why would you want your car to sell like that? Man.
You're like, man, what an idiot.
I am.
No, I just mean like now it's funny to say that. Like
I know.
When you pass and knowing damn well you wanted the same thing.
Oh yeah, I did.
Hello?
What's up, Brian?
Yo, what's going on?
Doing good. How you doing?
Good. Hanging out.
Hey Ryan, did you have a 95 Civic at all when you were your first car?
No. First car was a 64 Dodge pickup.
Really? Wow.
That was my dad's truck. He still has it.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's the same one he has now, right?
Yeah, they got married in that truck. And then he bought it off his brother or something. I don't remember. And then I drove it to high school. And then, he kind of restored it and he kept it. Still has it.
Oh, so it didn't look like it looks now when you drove it then.
No, you're probably thinking of the green truck. He's got a blue and white Dodge. Doesn't have a camper on it.
Okay.
But I drove it you might have saw the Cactus too. It was like, I drove it when it was primer, just gray.
Okay.
But he's restored that truck a few times, I think. But yeah, they still have it. He has everything. He doesn't sell nothing.
How many miles is on that?
I don't know, 250 probably, but he's rebuilt the motor a couple times, I think.
Yeah, I saw somebody was selling, which is probably fairly common. Somebody put a link online the other day to one of the old semis that they used to haul the Bigfoot monster trucks and stuff, and it's like, has like 2.5 million miles on it.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm like 2 million miles.
Just broken in.
Yeah. Just throw a fresh set of tires on it. Fresh set of tires, you're ready to go.
Damn.
So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, we wanted to have Ryan on the show. He wanted won another big race. It was funny because I was telling him today that I woke up last night and I was like, for some reason, I started trying to figure out all the races that Ryan's won. I was sending him a list and because I want to be able to say, is it 100 big races or is it 200 big? You know what I mean? I want to somewhat know the right number. It's funny because Ryan's like, I don't really care.
I know. I was gonna say he's probably like, who cares? I don't care.
But at some point it'll be a cool number because you get so far along in these races and you start adding this stuff up and it's like like the AMS, which is a race in Alabama. Ryan's been several times. He's missed it a few times, but just that race alone, you win buggy 4 or 5 times, and it's a big deal. It's like basically every time you go there, it's if the race has been around 10 years and you've won over half of them, that's a pretty big deal. So
yeah, whatever the number is, it's not enough. How about that?
Yeah,
I like that.
That's the part is that sometimes you remember the ones that you don't want to remember. Sometimes I know that's how it is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but since Ryan won another Roar Nationals, I tried. Where I started was we have all the Roar National wins that he has written down because I think that's important to know and. Because there's the Kinwalds and all these guys that said they win so many Roar Nationals. So it's nice to know that number if you get up to the point where you have that kind of a number. But, I think the one Ryan just won, now he's at 20 Roar National titles. So, and he didn't race stock, right? No stock, right, Ryan?
No.
Like we always joke that Dakota has 16 Roar National titles, but 10 of them are stock.
Yeah.
Not that he's not capable. He's won the hardest ones there is, so
yeah.
He's a badass too. But yeah, it's just kind of fun to know some of that information and so it's good to know. But yeah, we took some people writing in some questions to ask Ryan, so I think it's kind of pretty good. We got some good questions from some people and stuff that should probably make Ryan laugh, which will be good.
Cool.
So yeah, just tell us a little bit at first, I guess, about the last couple races you ran. You did the Manufacturers Cup and then the Roar Nats, and I don't know, maybe a little bit about the tracks and the facilities and maybe what you like about those races, I guess.
Yeah, we were at the track up in Chico, California, Silver Dollar Raceway, I believe it's called. Aiming Hobbies owns it, and it's one of the best facilities, if not the best outdoor A-scale track probably in the country. And just a bum. The location's kind of a bummer, kind of the little ways out there. But yeah, it was a good race. They have a Manufacturers Cup race every year, which is heads up racing. I think we do 4 rounds maybe per car, something like that. Buggy and Truggy. And then there's individual winners for the class. And then you also have an overall champion, which they do your 2 best, like a team associated or Mugen or Losi or whatever, like your 2 best guys in the pro class and the open class to come up with a grand champion. So we were Mugen was 1 point short on that this year because Spencer beat me in buggy. I got second. I won Truggy. So that was a good race. Track's always super cool. Kevin Jellick puts on they build great tracks up there. And that was the biggest turnout for that race so far, which is cool. It means people are kind of getting interested and don't mind driving up there. And then, yeah, I was supposed to go to AMS, but just with the Nationals, kind of the next week after AMS, and with having a kid and stuff now, time's a little more tight. So trying to do back-to-back races is really difficult. So didn't do AMS, and then just kind of prep for nationals and went to the Nats kind of fresh, had everything ready, and it was a good weekend. Again, super awesome facility at Thornhill with Chris Allison and everybody that helps him get that place ready. Track was nuts. It had a lot of grip. It was like driving on Velcro once you kind of got your tire program right. And qualifying went well. 2 TQs, 2 second places. Kind of came down to the end in buggy between 4 of us for TQ, and missed. I think I missed 3 TQs, a combined like 1.2 seconds or something like that. So I was kind of right there the whole time. And and then the semi buggy had an engine problem. Something nobody's ever really seen happen. Something that I guess you don't really know if it's ever going to happen. I don't know. I mean, Adam Drake has seen a lot of stuff. He's never seen that happen. Neither have I. And that kind of took me out of the semi, which obviously you don't finish semi, you don't go to the main. But we tried. We flamed out a few times. We kept starting it, kept trying, and didn't happen. But Truggy went well. We had a good battle in qualifying and in the main with Spencer. Came down to the last lap and beat him by a little under a second, or right at a second, which is good racing for 45 minutes. So yeah, it was good. It was a good couple weeks of racing. Tough. Everything was really hot. All the tracks were super, the weather was hot, super humid at the nationals. So it was a long week, but it didn't end. It ended badly, but it wasn't a bad week. How about that?
You know what I've noticed the last 2 nationals is when you had that issue where you didn't, the one last year where you just kind of had a ghost flame out, and you got back out there, but the competition in that semi was you lost a lap basically. So in that race you lost a lap and you still almost bumped up. And then this year where you flamed out, you lost time, but you didn't really lose a lap, right? Because you went across the line.
Yeah, the first flame out, I went back on the track, and I was still in third.
Yeah.
So, and then it happened again, and then I think I was in like 6th or 7th. I think Joe told me that it was like it was going to be close. I could have maybe still done it with the second one, and then it happened again. And it was game over. So, it was just rolling onto the straightaway. Kind of once the car got up to full sing, the motor would seize up. And if it would have just happened the one time, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. We could have gone back to the pit, figured it out, put a different engine in, whatever. Because down the straightaway is the start finish line, so I was getting that lap, and then losing the 10 seconds or so, just trying to get the thing started again. But yeah, it was a bummer. We don't know. Yeah, the last few nationals has been bad in buggy, which is a bummer because that's the race kind of everybody puts their focus into, and just kind of had a string of bad finishes, which sucks big time. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you go from running qualifiers where you're a combined 1.2 seconds out of 3 TQ rounds to being 25th place. It does. It hurts. And, it's like, but I think, we're kind of answering some of people's questions here too, while we're talking about this, which is kind of good. But, it's, it's like everyone's heart kind of sinks when you see the car flame out, and I don't even know what it's like to be driving in that position. But I mean, this race, I mean, it was something that, when you came down off the stand, you're just like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. And it's like, people are asking, is he all mad? Is he upset? Like, well, I'm sure not that mad. You didn't visually look that mad, but I'm sure you're pretty upset.
Well, I mean, when you kind of done everything in your power, last year, I guess 2 years ago when I had the radio incident, there was a lot more going on behind the scenes other than just the motor failing in the main event. There was a lot leading up to that. With the engine having issues. Basically with that, it was like that year, the engine ran perfect in the semi and I won the semi. I was starting, on the pole or second or whatever it was. Cause maybe he went straight into the main that year too. And then after the semi, the top end needle was like leaking really bad. So, you're thinking hour-long race. The motor ran perfect. Should I play with this top end needle? Should I just leave it alone? But it's an hour. It's really going to leak fuel. So we changed the seals on it, and then the motor wouldn't run. Like, I don't know if a piece of the seal got in the carburetor. I had the engine guy at the time, my engine guy was there helping. And, I don't think it was anything he did. It wasn't anybody's fault. It was just we don't know why at that point too.
Yeah.
We get back out for the main, it's a really tight deadline. After your semi, you got like 35 minutes or an hour or whatever it is to get your car ready. And if you have an issue like that, it's not a lot of time because there's a lot of stuff going on, doing your clutch and tires and shocks or whatever you're doing. So we go to fire back up that race and it doesn't run good. It's barely running. We couldn't get it really tuned right in the warm up. And then, I'm falling back during the run and, out of just anger, I was upside down and Marshall didn't see me. And I pulled full throttle to get the guy's attention and, the motor died, so it was like, it was just all that leading up to the ultimate failure during the race is what was the catalyst, I guess, to me smashing the radio, but there was just a lot going on, and then last year, just leading the semi, cruising around. I made one mistake. I just rolled over on my lid, and right when it went on foot, it immediately died. Kind of unexplainable. And, we tried starting it, didn't make it. And, at that point, it's like when you do everything, and same as this year, like when you do everything you can and something happens that's out of your control, there's not much you can do. You know what I mean? You can't really get too mad. All you can do is try to figure out what the hell happened. You know what I mean? And both years, last year and this year now, it's like I really don't know why. This year I know why the motor, the motor inside just kind of started eating itself alive, but we don't know why that happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The motor was in really good shape going in to the race, and all we can think is that the conrod somehow got a little bit sideways on the crank and it ate some material off the back plate. It shot material up into the cylinder and basically seized it up. And it's like, nobody's ever seen it happen. There was nothing in the engine that was damaged that would give you any sort of it was damaged after all this happened, but it was kind of unexplainable. So I just take the blame, I guess, for maybe, I don't know what I could have done to cause it, but I know somebody else didn't do it, and just move on. And, at that point, when you're probably the first person I saw off the driver's stand, I wasn't, I was frustrated, but I wasn't pissed off or anything. Cause it's just, at that point you've done everything you can and it is what it is.
It's weird. It's weird in those situations. Cause I think it's the only time, there's lots of times when you want to rewind, it's like you can reverse time or whatever. Those are the type of moments that I think God, I wish we could go back in time and it's like if we could just hit a rewind button real quick and you're just and you're like, let's fix it. Yeah. And then it's it picks right. Those are the times I always think about stuff like that where it's like, man, I wish there was that button you could hit. But that's the thing about the real world though, is you can't do that kind of stuff. You can't start the race when you want to, and you can't restart it. It only happens once. But in between all this stuff, obviously you won Truggy, and then you're winning Nitro Challenge and all these tough races with all the same equipment. And it's a little bit weird that the Nationals this couple of years in a row, you've had these things happen, but then in between you're having great finishes. don't know if you ever really make up for not having a good race, but you continue having good races at like Nitro Challenge and stuff like that, where it's almost like there's even more competition, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, everywhere I go, I'm competitive. I can hang my hat on that. I wasn't in the main at the Nationals, but if I would have been, it would have been a good race. And I'd love to rewind too, but I mean, I don't know what the hell I would do any different. Is the problem.
It would just keep happening the same way. You're like, okay, this isn't fun.
Groundhog Day.
I mean, I even thought I mean, you were there, Jay. You knew that, in this kind of all weekend, my buggy engine was kind of giving me problems with like idling kind of weird and stuff like that. So before the main, I put my truck motor in, the one I just ran the main with. It ran perfect and had no issues. The thing had been running solid all week, and put that in my buggy for the semi, and that's the motor that failed. So it's just, you kind of think you're doing the right thing, doing what's safe, basically, and ends up biting you in the ass. But yeah, I mean, Nitro Challenge was awesome this year. I thought Silver State was a tough race, but I came out with a podium finish in buggy, and again, main hobbies race went really good. Yeah, I mean, everything's performed flawlessly all year. Just whatever went down at the Nationals, it was just kind of bad timing, and
But
next year it's not happening though.
I'm gonna jump out there and just keep driving. I'm gonna roll the car around the damn track just to.
Yeah.
What's funny is it happens once down the straightaway, and my first thing is like, okay, shit, it's over. Then I go, no, wait a second, you already have like a lap lead, and then it's like, and then you're like, oh, you're still in third, and then like you're right behind second, and I'm like, well, he might even still be able to win this race. And then it happens the second time, and I'm like, okay, now he dropped to seventh. Where's sixth at? And I'm thinking, oh, sixth is only a turn in front of him. Right. It's like, okay, I think this still might happen.
Right.
And then the third time, they're like, okay, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's unique is this isn't something that just happens to you. This happens to everybody at times in nitro racing, which, like as you said, it makes it the most gnarly racing that you can do, right?
Yeah, I mean, people have had motor issues kind of all year, on and off. Like, the Testament, their program is pretty unreal. They put in tons of hours, and Ty's had some issues this year with flameouts in the pits and kind of stuff that's unexplainable, but it just didn't happen at the Nationals. Cavalieri had some issues in Truggy this year. I've seen Spencer have issues this year. So it happens to everybody. It's just, for some reason, my issues like to wait for me to be at the Nationals.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it is. And that, I think everybody sympathizes too when you're at a race like that where, when you're watching a guy, I mean, especially when you're in a position where, I mean, to be really honest, when you guys are running when you're as fast as you and Ty and these guys, you're basically doing a semifinal and you're going through the motions because you just need to finish the race. You guys are so fast. You basically have to finish the race and you're going to start in one of the top 3 or 4 spots. Like you basically just go around for 30 minutes, you finish, and then you start in one of the top 4 spots. I mean, that's what you guys pretty much do. And but it's always a little nerve wracking because if you don't finish, you can't make it to the big show. But anyway, there's a couple people asking, with that said, and with the way that has happened, they're asking if you think they should have a last chance race like we had at the Worlds this year in Australia.
I mean, they could change something. I think what people don't really get is how, like Sunday at the Roar Nationals is, I think, the hardest day in our racing all year. It's harder than the Worlds. I mean, we're not only running a semi that's 30 minutes long and a buggy main that's an hour long, if you make the buggy main, obviously, but you're also running a 45-minute truck main, and you're running warm-ups. So you're on the track all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And Saturday, you finish qualifying like late in the afternoon. So now you have to prepare 2 cars, and when you prepare these cars for the main event, they're like, you strip them down to nothing. And you got to, make sure these things are built to last. And then we got to go into Sunday, and I think the warm-ups were at like 11 or something like that. So not a lot of time in the morning. And then, literally we walked off the driver's stand for the truck race after the truck main, which, I was stoked. I won. Spencer was stoked because he got second. It was a good race. And Spencer had to turn around and go back on the driver's stand to run his buggy warm-up, his semi-practice warm-up.
Yeah.
And then I was standing there warming up my buggy. I didn't even get to tell anybody good job. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that to me is dumb. It would be like the same thing as NASCAR. Like, they're running qualifying and then they immediately go into a race and then they got to reset and go right into another race. Like, it's too much in one day. And what causes it is that ladder bracket system that we run in buggy, which is good because that's what we do at the Worlds. You know what I mean? So like, it would be nice to add a last chance qualifier, but where there's no time, you know what I mean? So if they could maybe adopt the schedule of Nitro Challenge and Silver State to where we run truck the day before, and then maybe, you could put a little more emphasis on your buggy program Sunday and have a last chance qualifier, or just eliminate the ladder bracket system totally from buggy. And that way the day's not so crazy. You know what I mean? So, they could definitely make an adjustment. Like, I don't think they really get how much work it is, especially it's that freaking hot out there. It's, you're running around nonstop. So to say that you're refreshed to going up for your hour-long national championship main event is a joke, because you're not. You're already beat. It's already been a long day. You know what I mean? And that's not fair for us that put so much focus on this one, race. But so there could be definitely some changes, but it's hard to get anything done with the Roar. I know they got a lot on their plate, but they don't really like to hear anything we have to say most of the time. So it'll be the same next year.
Yeah, it's like you said, it is. You're coming off the driver's stand, you're like, everyone's like still kind of pumped up and a little bit shaky, and it's like, all right, run your buggy warm up. It's like, you're just like, I can't even get into this right now. Like, it's like I'll just go out here and drive the thing around. And but yeah, it is tough. Doing that whole system. But so we got so we answered a couple of those questions. One of the first questions that someone asked was actually Mark Pavitas, and he was asking, what is the hardest race for you to run and the funnest race? Those are his first 2 questions. So do you got a hardest race and then the funnest race?
There's different levels of hard, but just overall, the whole week is probably the A scale Worlds. I think is the hardest. It's usually a track you've never been to. The conditions change minute by minute. I know it's hard for yourself or the tire companies, because it's like almost impossible to try to bring everything, because you don't know what you need.
Yeah.
You don't really know what you need with your car. You just kind of like go there and hope you find something. And again, it's a long week. You get to main day and you're like, man, I've been here for 10 days. I'm worn out. I've built 3 cars. I've destroyed all these things. And now it's time to actually race. But I think the funnest race for me is Nitro Challenge and Silver State. Like, Silver State now is cool because it's Vegas. So obviously it's fun. And Nitro Challenge is, I always take my trailer and stay at the track. And, that adds another level, kind of camping, hanging out with friends at night, and then you're also racing a good race, and Joey always builds great tracks. But yeah, I guess that's about it.
He's asking, and you've kind of raced in a couple of these now, but the best era for RC. So I'm assuming, like, kind of like your feelings about when you were younger racing in, the 90s and then early 2000s, and then now. What do you think about the different eras of RC?
I think nitro racing is probably the best it's been right now. I think there's too many, like the cars and the engine packages are really good. It's a lot, I don't want to say easier, but it's a lot more user friendly than it was when I first started racing nitro. Like the servos are better, engines are a little easier, stuff like that. I think there's too many tires. Everybody has way too many tires. It used to just be one tire.
Yeah.
And that was easy. But that's racing, everything just, continues to develop. So, but I think the best era for like 10 scale was probably, just rear motor. I think the rear motor two-wheel drives were better.
Yeah.
Like right when brushless stuff and lightless stuff came in, and everybody kind of got that figured out, but we were still running rear motor cars because they had a ton of power. I think that was probably the best for me, anyways. I don't remember much from the 90s. I was pretty young, but I remember loving to watch Mark and Kinwald and Francis and all those guys race, and I was lucky enough to race most of those guys, like as I was kind of coming up. But I mean, I wish we could just go back to a rear motor car. I mean, the mid motor stuff's cool, but the reason the tire game is so incredibly challenging now for 10 scale is because we're running carpet cars on dirt. So we're relying way more on the tire making the right amount of traction than the car making, the traction, because the cars don't make any traction.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely not. Yeah. I mean, the tire game is not good. It's not good for anybody. But it's something you just have to do. So yeah, I guess I kind of went off track a little bit, but whatever.
No, I mean, I think that's very true. I mean, if you look back and when you guys were racing in Finland with the B4, which would have been the B4.2 before it was really released, you had the 8mm longer chassis, the rear motor. You had rib front tires with pins in the back. The track was nice, kind of a big outdoor track, and you had brushless equipment, right? I mean, the cars were pretty damn nice.
Yeah. I mean, indoor racing is definitely bigger than it used to be, and I'm sure if we were running rear motor cars, the tire game would still be the tire game. But I don't think it would be as in-depth as it is currently, because if anything, you're probably like, my car's making too much traction, if you're running a rear motor car.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but you definitely couldn't run a rear motor car on carpet and be any sort of competitive. Well, you couldn't run a rear motor car on dirt now and be competitive.
Yeah.
But for sure on carpet, it wouldn't work. So.
Yeah. The last time I remember you running a rear motor car was at the Cactus when, well, it's the first year that Tebow ran his Kyosho with a mid motor. You guys were running he had a mid motor, you had a rear motor, and I remember, you gave him a pretty good battle, but you could see the difference there. And then I want to say that you and Dakota had a pretty good race one year, but I think you both were still running rear motor, but that was the one.
That was the opposite. Remember, so that year I ran the B5.
Okay.
Or no, maybe it was the year before.
I think you're right.
At one of the races, we had C4s. The Associated guys were running C4s up at the Chico track for the 10 scale nap, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Dakota won with a rear motor car on a sugar track, super high speed. We're running these mid motor cars, and this guy just beat us with a rear motor car.
I remember
what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And then I ran a rear motor B5 at the Cactus, and Tebow ran a mid motor car. I think he turned his car mid motor like halfway through the weekend.
Yeah.
He ended up beating us.
But that was the change right there, right? I mean, that was that. Then you guys went to Chico. They decided to sugar the track, and all of a sudden it was like, boom, everything was that we've just been we've just been hauling ass towards. The cars have been changing more regularly, and the tracks going from, the big racetrack conditions, carpet, astro, high traction, dirt. OCRC has been kind of the same, but that's, I think, where you said that, when you get in that position, the tires have to be right, and then the car feels pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I've been surprised. It seems like the last year and a half, almost every race we end up at, either the Nationals or the JC INS series, like we end up on slicks at some point, or damn close to them, and you're saucing them, putting them in the sun. I mean, we've always sauced. That's something that's always happened.
Yeah.
But the burning them in with the drill and keeping them hot and all this stuff. I mean, that's I think what is annoying to people.
Yeah.
That, but it's like, if you want to be competitive, it's like, that's what you got to do. So
yeah.
It's just part of the racing now.
Yeah, and we've been trying to talk it out, how to change some of that, and like even we got that race coming up at your track there at Hobby Action, and trying to figure out how to say it or change it, but it's really difficult without having full lockdown on the tires in tech. Then it's really hard to tell people what to do, because they can go to their hotel or the parking lot and do whatever they want. And
I mean, you either police it 100% start to finish and everything in between, or you just can't do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because there's no way. It's not that you're cheating. If the rule is you can't sand in the building, or you go sand them outside, that's not cheating. You're just not sanding them in the building. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, exactly.
And so, I mean, it's tough. I don't know how you fix the issue. I mean, I think one thing is to kind of like, we could go backwards a little bit on these cars and make a dirt car. If there was a governing body that was a little more involved in our weekly racing and seeing the progression of what's really happening, I think you could come up with some sort of rule that, that the motor can only be so far away from the differential. And that would bring a lot more rear grip back into the game. And it would also probably tame the tire game down quite a bit, and then you'd have two different cars for dirt and carpet. I mean, essentially now you can just run the same car on carpet and dirt. You just change the diff. You know what I mean? But if we went back to just the stand-up cars, they still handle really well. And they were not even close to as tire sensitive as these cars are. But nobody's going to just do it on their own. Those cars are definitely slower. So you're not going to go to a race with a stand-up car versus a bunch of lay-down cars. But obviously that's a stretch to try to get people to go backwards in the development of their vehicles, for sure.
Yeah. Or like I think you mentioned at one time, or we were talking about it, like a weight bias rule, right? Yeah. Where not only does your car have to be a certain weight, but the weight bias has to be a certain amount, which is, it was basically what you're talking about is the motor, certain amount distance from the axle. But
I don't know. Crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I do see some people gravitating towards 8 scales right now because of the outdoor racing and maybe a little less finicky. It's like they're swapping finicky tires and car setup for the finickiness of running an 8 scale engine.
Man.
It's like poison. People, like they're like, man, I'm tired of this game, so I'm going to go over here and play this game. And, but you know what? Maybe if that's what does it. I mean, I know around us, 10 scale's been a little soft. 8 scale has been doing a little better, but it constantly kind of goes up and down. It's like,
I mean, but if you look at it, like the tire game is a pain in the ass, but it's not like anybody's hiding any secrets. It's like everybody does the same thing.
Yeah.
And then the other way to look at it is like when, you were racing full time and Mark was racing full time, Brian, cutting your comm every run and building batteries and, all that stuff. we've just replaced that with tire prep now. You know what I mean? Like racing is just as hard as it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's just now, you know, we all have equal power and all the cars are super equal. Or, you know, one weekend my car could be better than Spencer's and Ty's car could be better than next weekend and Spencer, you know, but they're all so damn close.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like who can tune their tire a little bit better is where you make up your speed. So it's not like anything's harder than it used to be. It's just kind of shifted into a different area. You know what I mean?
Instead of the motor games, you play the tire games.
Yeah, I mean, back then people didn't really, like, newcomers, you know, people say, oh, well, newcomers don't know how to do the tire game. Well, newcomers didn't know how to build batteries and cut motors and make a stock motor super fast. You know what I mean? You kind of had to know what you were doing, just like the tire game.
You had to learn it.
Yeah, so it is definitely still not something, you know, a person just buying a car can come in and figure out, but, you know, it's just part of racing too. You know, that everything's difficult to do good at whatever you're doing.
So we're still kind of traveling down Mark's. He had 4 questions, but how much longer do you plan on racing? Mark Pavitas is asking.
I don't know. I don't see an end for me. I mean, I love what I'm doing, and you know, there's so many races now that it's you know, you're constantly driving, so you're always kind of, you know, we're always racing against each other. The top guys are always racing against each other in some way, 10 scale, A scale, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, obviously this is my job. This is what I do, to you know, provide for my family and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm going to do it as long as I can. And then if I am not capable of winning races anymore, I want to still keep doing it. You know what I mean? In a different, whatever, you know, other than
different capacity.
I'm sure I can, a different way, working for you or for a car company or whatever. You know, I've learned a lot over the years and seen a lot how things are done. And, you know, so I can fit in somewhere somehow. But yeah, I mean, I think me, Cavalieri have talked about it a lot. You know, it's like it would be dumb not to just do it as long as you can. And, you know, as long as we're still into it and we're still competitive and we still like what we're doing, keep going. You know what I mean?
And then Tony Schumacher says, what's your favorite AZ Nitro track? Got to give him a shout out here, I guess.
Yeah, the Nitro Compound is his track, and we're lucky he opened that place up in his backyard because we didn't really have much to offer. Jimmy, another friend of ours out here, has a track in his backyard that we played in for a while. Kind of did a lot of my prep work for Worlds at his house at DHRC. So we got a couple tracks out here. I don't know what's going on with Steer Farm. I think it's somebody was saying maybe the fifth scale guys are trying to get it going again, but yeah, I mean, for kind of our tracks being, or, you know, the Steer Farm going away, we're pretty lucky to still have places to go, and guys like Tony, you know, putting in his own money to have a place for his kid to race and letting us come hang out, and same with Jimmy. You know, it takes a lot of money to build those tracks, so it's nice to have guys like that.
So we got Conrad asking if you have a favorite memory from racing and the best track that you think you've ran at.
Favorite memory? Honestly, probably my favorite race I won, or like probably not the favorite race I won, but the memory I would say, like that 06 A scale nationals, because it was my first nationals and my only nationals winning A scale. But it was like there was no thought that I was going to win that race. I had Jake Thayer came, my good friend, worked on my car, and Richard was there, obviously Richard Saxton, and yeah, I just drove around in the main event, ended up winning. It was like crazy. Never thought in a million years that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot. I've been lucky. There's a lot of great memories because, you know, I'm lucky to be surrounded by great people, and we go have a lot of fun. You know, we have a good time everywhere we go. But yeah, I guess that's one. Obviously, the China World stands out, but yeah, that one in '06 was just like totally out of nowhere type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty cool.
Then you got your favorite. What do you think the best track is?
I think Hobby Action, the overall facility is like top notch. You know, it's no secret I'm not a huge fan of the dirt, but the facility, Larry Tom put in a lot of time and effort and made that place awesome. And you know, it's a privilege to have that as a home track. I think OCRC's dirt is awesome for 10 scale racing, and then yeah, 8 scale. I don't know. There's, you know, most of the tracks we race at nowadays aren't really permanent tracks, so you kind of got to just go off the races you like to go to.
Kind of an interesting question from Kurt Winger. He was just asking what's the best time or way to approach not only you, but maybe some of the pro guys with a question at the races.
I don't know. I mean, just don't be timid, I guess. You know, I think it's pretty obvious if we're like super busy thrashing, you know, then that's probably not a good time. But, you know, if we're just sitting there talking crap with our buddies or something, then, you know, that's fine. I definitely don't have that super approachable face, but you can for sure come ask me whenever you want. Everybody's really, really good when it comes to that, you know, talking to people and answering questions and stuff. As long as we're not, if we have our car completely apart in front of us, that might not be the best time. But you know, it's pretty easy to read the room, I think.
Yeah. Usually with all these guys or anybody is if it looks like they ran bad or having a bad time, that's probably not the best time to go and check on it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, straight off the driver's stand after a bad run, that might not be the best time either. But, you know, 20 minutes later or something, that's, you know, we all kind of get over it pretty quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny moments with that kind of stuff. But some people just have the worst timing at times. But,
yeah, for sure. For sure.
But yeah, then there's some good ones. You know, there's people that are really respectful of the space and what you're asking for. And so, yeah, I'd say what I've noticed is for the most part is everyone's really pretty good at, you know, talking to people and answering their questions. You know, and I think it's just about being specific, you know, and I think what's funny, you know, this is really funny because we just posted some photos today of your Truggy that Thomas took at the race, and the guys at the shop here, like AJ and Brad, who were at AMS, and they're looking at your Truggy and they're like, "This thing is stock." They're like, yeah. What? They're like, "Look at this thing." There's like, this is a stock Truggy. Like, there's just like nothing special about this thing, and you know, I think a lot of people. You know, sometimes they look at that and I think sometimes they question, this cannot be the truck, you know, that that's winning, but it really is. You know, I was telling them, I said, you know, I said when you got the real man behind the wheel, you don't need a special setup here. But yeah, I mean, it's. You know, they laugh because they look at it and they're just like, man, it's like this thing doesn't have like any crazy shock caps or, you know, this or that. It's like this thing is just like a stock Truggy.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you how much time Egan goes into developing the cars, and you know, they take, you know, our feedback. When I say our, like myself and Adam, probably more like from Adam. He runs the cars constantly, and he asks me what I think needs to be done. And, you know, there's a lot has changed to the cars since I've been around. They've definitely got a lot more racing, and yeah, they're pretty dialed in out of the box. I think that truck, it might have like a low-C spur gear on it, maybe, because I think it meshes a little better. because I run an associated clutch and clutch bell. But other than those parts, it's, I put some Lunsford screws on it just to look pretty, and it's pretty much stock. I mean, the setup isn't out of the box, but it's all Mugen parts. Just utilizing what's developed in the car. But yeah, I mean, my buggy's pretty much the same way. So is Adam's car. So is Tree's car.
Yeah,
it's just I'm definitely we're lucky to run the Mugen cars because they. Like I always say, sometimes you can't get the car to be the best car, but it's never the worst car. It always works. So, which is awesome.
Then we got this, kind of covered this a little bit already, but Jeremy Mark was just saying what motivates you to keep giving 100% week in and week out and keep improving. I mean, a lot of this stuff you've already kind of mentioned, but you might want to just kind of give a little bit of info.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hate to fail. I hate to lose. You know what I mean? I don't. If I've done, like I said at the Nationals, like if I feel like I've done everything in my power to have a good weekend, and it doesn't end well, then you just take what you learn and go home and go back to work type deal. You know what I mean? But, I think I get more motivation from the bad weekends than I do the good, and trying to turn a negative into a positive. And obviously having a wife and a kid now, that's motivating as well. I want to do the best I can at every race, not only for them, but for myself. And it's a lot more fun to win than it is to lose, obviously. So you want to try to always, go in battle and kind of leave all your chips on the table and move on to the next one.
So there's some other kind of, there's some good questions, I guess, what you just kind of answered, to be honest. This Craig was saying, can you talk about what has been different for you with your chassis sponsor switches? So I'm assuming he's like, when you went from Associated to Losi to Mugen, but, you kind of answered that with the Mugen stuff. The cars are pretty stock and you're having good development luck with them and that type of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything's been. I mean, the reason I have moved around a couple of times is there's always something different. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff obviously is just stuff you can't talk about, but it's always trying to better yourself. You know what I mean? Not only with the vehicle, but you're hoping you're going to go to a better vehicle, but maybe just peace of mind or, whatever, you know what I mean? It's such a small industry. I can't really say whatever I want to say, because everybody's all friends and everybody's all good. And, the companies I've left, they understand why. And it was, it was I don't want to say a mutual agreement, but it was everybody understood what was going on, and it wasn't on bad terms. And, talking with you, kind of going when the Losi thing was potentially coming to an end, my goal was to try to run the best cars possible, obviously. And, I talked to Yokomo first, and I thought they had the most potential for growth in the U.S. They're obviously a name people knew, but they weren't very big. But they've been around forever. I mean, I've known Yokomo and seen Yokomo, all the associated guys in the 90s, early 2000s ran Yokomo four-wheel drive cars, and all the Yokomo drivers ran associated two-wheel drive cars. So there was a partnership there for a long time. They obviously have a big presence in Japan and in Asia and in Europe. We came up to an agreement, and it also opened the door to run for Mugen, because Yokomo doesn't make 8-scale car, Mugen doesn't make 10-scale car. So that was a nice connection there. And then, with Joe Pillars coming on to Yokomo, we've been able to help build the brand into something that it's never really been in the U.S., which is cool. It's kind of, and they've been great about development too, man. I say something and bring something up, and Shin Adachi is over there on top of it. He tries it. If he, agrees with me, then boom, we try to make it and get it out there.
Yeah.
So, I'm having a blast. I'm super happy with everything. I have fun at every race. I get to work with friends, people that I've always considered friends, even if I wasn't on their team. So yeah, I've definitely don't plan on going anywhere. I'm happy where I am. I've signed long-term contracts with both Yokomo and Megan. So I'll be rocking with these guys for a while.
I tell this story sometimes, which I think is pretty funny, about the Yokomo stuff, where you ran the first Reedy race and you had that belt car for 4-wheel, and I remember you were running it, and you got second at the race, and but I remember after the race you were just like, yeah, I just told them that this car is not going to work. They're going to have to make a different car, and then they make a whole nother car, and you end up winning the world. So
that's amazing.
Which is funny how it all worked out, but that's kind of how it worked.
Yeah, and they told me before I signed, they sent me some cars to try. Me and you did a super late night test session at OCRC. I think what we were doing, showing up at like midnight or something.
Yeah, we'd show up
until 3.
Yeah.
So we did that a couple of nights, and I just built the cars as they sent them to me, out of the kit. I didn't have any clue, and there was potential there. Yeah. They weren't bad, and they had told me beforehand that we're willing to do whatever it takes to make these cars competitive on dirt. And sometimes that's hard to take that as they're serious, but they were serious, and they have. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we've had a lot of success together, and that's that's their willingness to be open to ideas and spend the money to make the stuff right. And that's, that goes to show what kind of company they are. And, they just want to try to make the best stuff and go compete.
So we got we'll save that one for a little bit later.
Well, I have a question here from Dan Neer, and I'll cut Jason off so he can't hear the answer, Ryan. So many drivers change tire companies. So many drivers change tire companies through their career. Do you see yourself ever going anywhere else?
No. I think probably 6 or 7 years ago, maybe I thought about it. But, Jason called me and made sure that, I knew that there was, that he wasn't done making this stuff, and he was 110% committed to trying to make the best stuff possible. And, and he has, he's made a ton of adjustments to compounds and, different, tread patterns, making tread patterns that people have never even thought about making. And they like the detox case in point for A-scale. It's like looking at that thing, you're like, how the hell is this thing ever going to work? But it does. It works almost everywhere. You know what I mean? So luckily, I'm lucky to run for Jason and been running for him for as long as I have. It's been good, and I have no reason to leave. Especially at this point, I've been with him, since day one, basically before it was even a tire company. And, we work well together, and I like the products. He's making good products. He seems to put up with me and my, crap most of the time. So, but yeah, people leave when they're not happy with a person or a decision. I don't know. I don't know why people do it, but sometimes people think they the tire or the engine or whatever is holding them back and they got to go. Just kind of whatever, we don't know why, there's always a reason. And most people, most of the time the public's never going to know the true reason. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I was, Chris Trudeau's like, what's your preferred method of victory? Wire to wire with a lap up on the field, or final 2-minute battle, last lap dash to the finish line?
I like it when it's boring and you just lead it out.
Lap them.
Yeah.
But it's cool the last lap pass if it goes your way. Mm-hmm. Most of the time those haven't gone my way. I think I've had a couple of them go pretty good. But yeah, I want to try to just be the fastest guy the whole race. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's a lot less. That's a lot easier on the on the mindset,
Yeah.
just kind of locking in a lap time and keeping it there and worrying about yourself. And, that makes the long races go by a lot, a lot smoother.
What I've noticed about a lot of this stuff, and you can see it, and Ryan's talked about it before too, but I know from my experience when I was racing, there's no better feeling if you're TQ and you see second, third, fourth just destroy themselves and you're checked out like in 10 scale. Like that's like the best feeling ever. But sometimes it kind of screws with your focus a little bit too, because you have to make sure to stay locked in because, you're only a mistake or a mistake and a half away from giving it all right back.
Well, I think it's like case in point, the Nationals track this year. I think what it is for me, but for probably most drivers, they don't really know it, but I think the harder the track is, the more you want that comfortable lead. You know what I mean? Like if the track's super rough or there's a bunch of crazy jumps or whatever, then you want to just have a lead because then you're kind of more racing the track. But at the Nationals this year, they're like, anytime I had a little bit of a lead in like the Truggy main or even in the semi with Buggy before I had my problems, it was like I wasn't driving as good. I wasn't hitting my marks. You know what I mean? It's kind of like because then you try to back it down and you're like, okay, I'm just going to cruise it. But that style track doesn't let you do that. You need to be full balls to the wall the whole run because that's just the style the track is. So anytime Spencer got closer to me or I got closer to him, if he had the lead, it was like, it was better. I felt more comfortable. You know what I mean? Because that's just the pace you had to go.
Yeah.
So I think it's just different, depending on what track, you're going to.
Well, you can see they did on Live RC. I didn't see it till today, but they have like a picture of you finishing the last couple laps, and then they're filming from behind you guys on the driver's stand. And you can see there's the focus when and the other car is that close, and you're driving at you have to drive at a good pace to finish it off. There's a lot of focus there, and you can see. And it's hard to recreate that unless it's just happening.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. Like when people ask if I practice all the time at home, and it's, you really can't recreate that actual racing when it's going on. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's important to do as many races as, you don't have to do every single race, but if 2 or 3 of the top guys are going to a race, I want to go. You know what I mean? Because that's a great time to not practice, but just race. That's when you're at the pressure's on, and going and running around on the track by yourself does nothing for you. You can do that to break in engines and maybe try some car stuff, but to just really get good drive time, you need to go race with people that are as good as you or better than you. And like you said, you just can't recreate that in the moment situation.
It's like people, then they practice basketball when they're a kid and they give that countdown, right? Where you're 5, 4, 3, and you shoot the ball. It's like, all right, well, so you made it with your own countdown, but now put 20,000 people in the crowd and actually put something on the line, and you can't do it over again. It becomes a little bit different.
Yeah, and that's something that we can't really practice. I mean, those guys probably can't really practice it either. I mean, in practice, they can have a 7-foot dude stand in front of them. But I can't call Spencer and go, hey, dude, let's go do an hour-long race, and on the last lap, we got to battle it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it never works.
No, it doesn't work. Like you go out by yourself or with one guy, and you get 5 minutes into the practice run, and you're like, I'm over it. I'm done driving. You know what I mean? So
when we've tried to do that in the past, I remember going with Brent several times where you guys were like, all right, well, we're going to do a practice semifinal. We're going to do a practice main. And it's like,
work.
Nothing works. Like it's like somebody's car breaks, or like it doesn't start, or like nothing. Like then the racing is horrible. Like nobody races good. But then you'll come right back to that same track the next week and have a real race, and like all of a sudden everything works. Everyone's close, and it's like everybody knows in the back of their mind, well, this is just a bogus race. Like this doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, the intensity is just different. It's different in the pits. It's different when you're in the hotel preparing. It's everything, you know what I mean? It's just, you can't replicate that. You know what I mean? So that's why you have to race. It just is what it is.
Mm-hmm. So,
did you ever just zone out on the driver's stand? Like just for a brief moment, maybe think of something totally different and just like catch yourself then?
I have, you know, if it's, I got a big lead and, you know, you're not thinking about something totally different, but, you know, if you're halfway through a 45-minute race and you got a 15-second lead, it's like, you gotta, you know, take a mental break, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I mean, this stuff, you gotta stay 110% focused. You know, I definitely have maybe told myself, all right, just chill, you know, calm down. You gotta just relax and, you know, think about, oh man, I'm hungry, you know, something like that. But
you never, yeah. I used to zone out a lot, but I was never in any big races like you. But come on, Jason, you've zoned out, haven't you? You thought of something totally off the wall.
It is tough. It is tough because sometimes, I mean, I know from my experience, there's times where you think the race is over, like, and you're driving. You know, if you have the lead or you have a big lead, and you're thinking, this thing's over. You know, I got this covered. And then like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I spun out at the end of the straightaway. You're like, all right, well, that's not that big of a deal.
That's the worst thing to think. Like, the race is never over until it's over. You know, and then like even at the Nationals, it wasn't over until my tank passed test. You know, I'm like, all right, now it's over. But yeah, you definitely can't think that. You can never take any respect away from your competitors, because just because you got a comfortable lead, it doesn't mean they're comfortable with running second. You know what I mean? So
they're coming.
Yep.
So we got Chris Trudeau. Oh, he already asked. We already did that. We got your. You'd rather be checked out in the lead. Me too.
Yeah.
But I also think that what we were saying was, you know, the difference between being checked out and having the close race. I think the close race afterwards always feels better, and I'm sure. And the thing that really sticks out to me about that Truggy main is, I mean, it's probably, I think, 2 or 3 minutes to go, and all of a sudden you and Spencer crank off your fastest lap of the race.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, now we're seeing the real deal, you know?
Well, the real race there that people probably don't really understand is that the real race was the last pit stop.
Yeah.
Because it was, if you were leading, like, because me and Spencer were basically the exact same speed truck all week long. And it was really who was leading. Like, when he led a few times in the main, it was hard to keep up with him. But if I was leading, I could maintain the gap. You know what I mean? So, and then we switched back and forth. I mean, obviously I had to pit one more time than he did, but I kind of got a little bit of a lead in the beginning, so it evened out at the end. But at the end, like him only a second behind me, it wasn't a concern, because it was like we were both going as fast as we could go. You know what I mean? Like, it was obviously, if you make a mistake, that's it. But you couldn't catch people. If you were second, you couldn't catch the guy. You know, the guy had to literally make a mistake.
Yeah.
So that's why that racing was kind of gnarly, because it was just, you couldn't catch the dude in front of you. And if you were leading, all you had to do was just not make a mistake, which sounds easy, but you know, it's not easy, obviously. But that, like I said earlier, that's kind of how that track was. You know, I think Nitro Challenge, how rough that track was, and Silver State, how rough those tracks are. You know, you're just trying to drive your car through all the holes. You know what I mean? Like, you just want to cruise around and try to do it smoothly and, you know, not worry about the guy. But at the Nationals, you wanted the guy there. You wanted him pushing you to keep you on your toes.
Yeah. Rob Sturgills is asking if you like caffeinated or decaffeinated drinks.
I drink coffee.
Yep.
That's about it. As far as I try to stay away from soda. Occasionally a soda's pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. Caffeinated, I guess.
Allison chimed in and she says, actually, Ryan used to have his own espresso machine at home.
I did. Cavalieri got me into that. He bought some $800 machine, and I was like,
What?
I can get one better. So I spent like $1,000 on one that did all the milk frosting and all this crap, and the thing was always broke. I don't even know where the hell that thing went. I use some $50 coffee maker from Target now, and it's fine.
That is awesome.
So John Bolton's asking how, when you prep for a big race, what kind of parts do you bring? Do you bring anything pre-assembled like diffs or anything like that?
For both 10 scale and 8 scale, I have different sets of shocks with different piston packages in them. For the 10 scale full drive car, I have a couple different differentials pre-built with different diff oils. A scale, I normally have a couple radio trays built, just in case you have a servo issue. You can kind of just throw another tray in. Usually have a gas tank kind of ready to go. Yeah, shocks for the A scale cars are always ready. Different piston packages. So yeah, there's always we always have some stuff. I'm normally not a guy that has a spare car. I only take a spare car for like the A scale world. Just in case there's like a mud, like we got to go run in the mud or something. I don't want to run my race car. But yeah, I normally have some stuff kind of pre-built, ready to go. You don't have a lot of time in between practice runs sometimes. So if you want to do a piston change, you can just kind of throw on another set of shocks. Makes it a little easier.
This is kind of, you've been asked this probably several times, but you can do it a little quickly if you want. David Olson's like, who got you into the sport and how did you progress in the sport? Was it big steps or slow steps? So that's the first part of the question, I guess.
I would say it's probably pretty slow. I mean, my dad got me into it when I was like 6. Just started in the front yard, kind of driving around, paper plates. He was just teaching me left and right when we went to the track and just on practice days, and started in the novice class. And, that was like in 1993, 94. And then, I didn't have my first major win was the 2003 Cactus Classic dual drive mod. So, I raced for over 10 years, probably right at 10 years. So it wasn't, and obviously I was really young. So when you're that young, I don't think you can really grasp the mindset of, leading a race and, managing a race and stuff like that. So, and then, once I kind of won that first one, I think then maybe my pro career kind of went a little quickly, I guess. Like the first year after that, I was still in school, so I didn't do much as far as traveling. And then the next year, Associated started traveling me to races, and it snowballed into just kind of I've been doing it now since the full traveling circus since like 2005, I guess. So then kind of went slow and then went fast type deal.
So he's asking basically, you answered one of them, but his last one part of the question is, when did you realize you were going to be one of the best in the sport?
I don't know. I still don't realize that. I think if you think you're the best, then you're just not going to be very successful. So, we did it just for fun. I did it for fun. I still do it for fun. It didn't surprise me when I won the Cactus because I knew I had like the talent to drive the cars, but I didn't realize that I could go as fast as those guys. You know what I mean? Like the Kinwalds and Matt Francis, Mark Vitas, Billy East, and all those guys. So that was a little bit surprising that I could actually drive as fast as those guys. You know what I mean? But I realize now, I guess.
I think, like me watching, what I really thought that you guys had something special, I guess, is when we went to the Worlds in Italy, when you guys ran the BJ4 and the B4 there. And I didn't feel like the track conditions at all suited you guys' racing or what you had been racing on. And it didn't even really matter. Like, I felt like the track was completely different. It was like a bumpy 10 scale track, and you guys were racing Cactus Classics and hot rod shootouts with different tires. And I kind of thought, like, I was like, this track is totally different. And you guys showed up there, and especially you never even ran the warm up, and it was like, yeah, you were just as fast as everybody. And I was like, you know what, these guys really have a real special knack for this, because I wouldn't have thought it would have been that easy. A lot of people get dialed into something and then they're good on that. But it's like, to really move around a lot or change the conditions, I think that's when you really see what people got.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of comes down to like how I grew up racing and how Cavalieri grew up racing and Tebow. And it was like, I mean, it wasn't like a thing that I'm doing this to get sponsored. You know, I think that's a real concern now. Like, everybody wants to be sponsored. Like, I mean, I was at the track 4 days a week because I just wanted to be at the track. I wanted to just drive my car. You know, like when the lights would turn off, we'd pull our cars up to the side of the track and have lights. And, you know, it wasn't that we were there testing like people love to post, I'm going testing today. But we were just driving. You know what I mean? Like, just let's drive the track backwards. Let's try to jump this, jump to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and, you know, it was just what I loved. I mean, I did that for years with the local guys here, like Billy Fisher. I mean, we'd be at the track all damn night. We would leave when the sun came up. So it was, I mean, I think that's why I can maybe adjust to the conditions, you know, well, because, you know what, we raced on a super loose outdoor track, but then at some points it was super high bite and then anything in between, you know what I mean? So it was definitely a good place to kind of cut your teeth, I guess. But I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just out there playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so. Yeah,
which I think that's kind of part of it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it should be a hobby. It should be what you love first. And then if you happen to have everything that takes to, you know, be the pro guy, then it's because you worked your ass off and you just kind of found a niche. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, I don't think anything you can force. It's something you can train, something you can hone, but you can't force it.
I was telling AJ, you know, one weekend, I'm like, hey, you gonna race this weekend? He's like, oh, I got to work on my car and I got to do this. I'm like, hey, I remember Ryan telling me he'd run his B4 at SRS. He's like, I would just run the most hammered, B4. The thing was just a bucket. The diff was trash. The shocks were messed up, and I would just drive the piss out of it. And then I knew when a bigger race would come, I'd have a fresher car, and then it was just like that much more plush.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, I don't think people were so focused on, now you got to post a picture of your car looking all pretty and, you know, so people, but back then it was just like, you mount tires, throw them on there and go run it. And then the only time you worked on it is when you broke it.
Yeah.
And then when a big race came around, you'd, prep it and make it nice. And then you go out there and you wouldn't really know how to drive the damn thing because it worked too good. And you'd have to learn all over again. But
I think this is a pretty funny question from Justin Doyle. He's asking if you'd ever consider an organizational role in RC after driving, like a track owner, a sanctioning body president, something like that.
Well, sanctioning body president, there's no money in that. So we're not like NASCAR where we're making millions and then we can just do whatever after, So it would be nice. It would be awesome to do help in the governing body role when I was done racing. Just, I think it would be good to have a racer, in there that can relate to all of the stuff we want and want to see and stuff. But, there's no money in that, which is a bummer. But, and then track owner, man, I don't know. There's a couple of tracks that, a lot of tracks do really well. And, some guys struggle to make ends meet. And, yeah, I don't know what I want to do. I think I like being on the development end of it. I like kind of go, I still like going to the races and, even like I wasn't racing the main at the Nationals this year. I broke, but I was in Cavalieri, said, hey, do you need help? What do you want me to do? Like, I still like being a part of it, even if I'm not a part of it on the racing side, so, I mean, we'll see. I think I can keep racing for a long time, and, we'll do something when it comes.
One of the things that Jeff Keaton had asked, you answered most of his questions already just through it, but his last one was, did you watch the main at the Nationals, and did you have a beer or two?
Yeah, I had 6, and I was on the side of the track. Yeah, right at the end of the straightaway, we watched the whole race, and I kind of laid me and Tanner Denny laid our predictions out, and I had it pretty much nailed. I won't say them on this radio show, but I pretty much called it from the start what was going to happen and how it was going to end, and it pretty much did in the way I thought. So, but yeah, I watched it. It was a little bittersweet kind of watching, like, man, it'd be nice to be out there, but oh well, I got a cold beer in my hand and enjoying it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anytime you see somebody crash, you're thinking, oh, I'm going by him right here.
Yep, got you.
Going by you. What's the most common mistake do you think the average racer makes, which I think you kind of alluded to this just a little while ago with, talking about sponsorships or having your car perfect or just not practicing or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, one of them, those things as well. But I mean, just when you're worried about what other people are doing, you know what I mean? Like, at some point, you got to just do your own thing. You can ask people for help and to learn what stuff does, and, that type of stuff. But, like an example, like when I won my first race, the setup on my car was something like Billy Easton came over and didn't believe anything that I was telling him. He thought I was lying to him about the shock packages on my car. And Mike Reedy had to come over, and, these guys were in amazement that this setup was working. You know what I mean? So, and it was just, the car worked because I just did my own thing. So I think doing your own thing and not focusing on the stuff that doesn't matter, like, polishing screws and all that crap. Like, that stuff doesn't matter. Just go drive your car, make it work for you and for how you drive. And, don't worry about trying to be sponsored because, obviously it's nice to be sponsored financially. It helps some, but these 50% sponsorships, they're not any different than like the hobby shop. You know what I mean? Like, the prices aren't much different than how you're buying the hobby shop. Mm-hmm. So go support your local hobby shop. And if a new car comes out and it's not the current car you're running or the same, try it, try different stuff, have fun. And don't try to make it a job. I think that's what people kind of forget about, is that this is supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be something you do on your weekends. And, so yeah, I guess that's about it.
We got Kevin King was asking, what was the most important thing you've learned as a pro driver that has helped you away from RC? Mental toughness, being prepared, attention to detail, I guess that type of thing.
Kind of learning how to breathe and relax when things aren't going well. You know what I mean? And like, I've given myself, I've taught how to kind of talk myself down, kind of mentally, inside if I'm pissed or something like that. Obviously, I've had a couple explosions publicly in racing, but there's been a lot more times that could have happened that I've kind of chilled. Attention to detail for sure is one of them. I noticed that when I'm working on my real truck or my Can-Am or my trailer or whatever, like somebody had worked on it prior to me, and I noticed how, they can't just put shrink wrap on something. They got to use electrical tape. It's like, really, how much longer does that take?
Yeah.
And, the mechanical side of things, if you can build an A-scale car to survive, that, that just means you have the basic mechanical skills to build anything. You just got to realize that it's just bigger platform if you're working on a car or something like that. But yeah, I'm definitely who I am because of racing and thanks to racing. That's for sure.
We got, this might be, I'm sure you've heard of this, Kenny Holmes. He's a guy from Florida, but he's asking if you would prefer Ginger or Marianne which was the two girls that were on the what was the name of that show, Gotti?
Gilligan's
Island.
Gilligan's Island. That's right.
I don't remember what they look like, but I guess I like the name Ginger better.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that Ginger was probably the one that was a little more like, I don't know, how would you describe it, Gotti? Is she like more girly, or I remember her being more like a model. She was kind of
like
tall.
Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hollywood actor.
And the other girl was a little more country, like a little more down.
Absolutely. Both were
I
fine.
guess then Marianne. The Hollywood one sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You couldn't go wrong picking either one, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how they dressed them up too. Like the one was like, it's like they always had the same clothes on. They were always perfect, but they were in the middle of nowhere in an island, right? We got Chili Duncan asking when you're going to be going to one of these RC monster truck races to give all these guys a run for their money.
I don't know. I'll let you handle that. You seem to have a pretty good beat on that scene.
Well,
they're cool. I think they're badass. But yeah.
It said to give Jason a run for his money.
Yeah. I'm not the hero. Ryan's met the hero.
Yeah, I met your top monster truck guy.
Yeah, we always have a laugh about this because, but these, I think what would surprise everyone is Ryan would really like doing this, just because it's RC, of course. But yeah, they're cool trucks, but you can only do so much in a year.
Yeah. I'm squeezing that touring car race, and that's throwing a kink in my schedule already, so no time for monster trucks.
So this is probably kind of a quick Shane Barrier was like, why don't you let Adam go to any more races? I don't know what that's all about, but Adam goes to plenty of races.
Oh, because he was asking Adam about it in the pits at the Nats. He was asking Adam about going to a race, and I was like, Adam, just say no. And I was like, Shane, no, he can't. And he's like looking at me like he didn't understand. I'm like, dude, you know how many freaking races? Like, Adam doesn't know how to say no to anybody. Because people ask him like, hey, if I pay for your flight to come to a race, Adam's like, sure. And I'm like, dude, like, you go to too much stuff. You don't have to go to everything. Just tell people, just say no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what that was all about. Adam only races A scale, and I guarantee he goes to more events a year than I do.
Wow.
So it's crazy.
He races a lot. He practices a lot. I was just saying this to Paul when we were watching maybe the semifinal, and I said, you know what? I said, who has more wheel time than Adam Drake?
I don't know.
Nobody.
Probably nobody.
There's no way. There's nobody has more.
No.
I don't think anybody has more wheel time than him behind the wheel. I mean, I hope he gets a new radio kind of often, because I'm sure if you can wear it out, he probably does.
Yeah. He's at the track a few days a week. That's for sure. And he goes into the office. So
yeah. So, yeah.
He stays busy.
Yeah, good for him. Plus, all the stories about his, he does the engine break-ins and.
Oh yeah.
Basically, if there's something that Adam could make $50 on, and somebody's just too lazy to do it, and he'll do it.
He's I mean, he's smart. He's probably got the biggest bank account than any of us. He makes money racing, and he races for free, and all he does is race. So it's like, when do you have time to spend money? So
good point.
Yeah, I mean, I was making fun. I was like, when was the last time you were on vacation? And he's like, my honeymoon 10 years ago. I'm like, dude, you're nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely puts in the most hours. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember at the Silver State, he's got his pits. He's working on Rhonda's stuff. He's working on his stuff. He's got people coming over saying, hey, work on my engine. And it's not like he's got like a little mini pit for everything. And it's like, yeah, this guy's engine, I'm putting bearings in, and this engine, I'm doing this, and this is my cars, and this is Rhonda's cars. And it's like,
you want to talk about bad timing with people coming up and asking questions. That guy's got people all day long. And he handles it like a champ. I mean, maybe when somebody walks away, he's like, "Oh man, I need a break." You know what I mean? But anybody comes up, he takes care of it. You know, he doesn't always stop what he's doing, but most of the time he stops what he's doing and he goes and helps tune the guy's motor or whatever the case is. So, but yeah, everybody wants Adam's help. I mean, I ask him for his help 5 times a day, probably at an event. So I'm no better than anybody else. But yeah, the guy works his ass off and he knows what's up. That's for sure.
And from a couple of my perspectives, it's a little selfish, but when Adam doesn't make the main, I really like when he helps pit Ryan in the main.
Yeah.
I bet.
And if he can't do it and Truggy doesn't make it, it's nice to have Truggy in the pits too. Obviously, they're very good down there. But you know what I've also found about the pit guys, what I like about Adam or any of these guys that's big physically is it's really nice to have these big guys in the pits because it's nice to have space. What I see when the good guys come in, it's nice to have space, and when you're smaller or you're not tall enough, people push you around down there and you end up with less space and you can't see. And when these big guys are down there pitting you, you have more space. They can see everything, and that really makes a big difference. And
that's interesting.
And that's part of like Gord being successful down there is, he'll push people away. It's like, we're coming in, get out of the way. And that's how you have to be I remember saying that to a couple guys at the end of the pit road towards the end of the Truggy race, because I was standing down there watching. I said, I'm like, hey, they're like pitting Cole Ogden, or I can't remember who they're pitting. And I'm just like, hey, I go, get back, the leader's coming in. They're looking at me like, hey, you ass, like I'm in this race too. And it's just like, hey, get back, the leader's coming in. Because when you're coming in and out of pits, that's a big part of it. And especially like you said, that last pit stop meant a lot. And that's why I was like, hey, everybody get back because the leader's coming through and this has to be a good stop.
Well, yeah, and I kind of asked Aurora at that race for people to stand back too, because what people don't really get is we're driving around on slick tires, and then you're coming into the pit and it's dust, and then right when you get off the dust, it's full-blown carpet. So you're going from traction to complete no control to full traction again. So it's like if you can't see your truck or your car, you don't, you're trying to control something that's damn near out of control anyway. So if you can't see it, it's going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. And what makes pit guys good, what makes a great pit guy, what some people don't get is a great pit guy is somebody that when you look down, it looks like everything they're doing is in slow motion. You know what I mean? Like when I watch Adam and Joe pit, I'm like, hurry up. And then I hear my pit lap. I'm like, oh, we are the fastest pit stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everything's smooth, and Truggy does it the same way, and the Tussmans do it the same way. Like everything's just slow, not slow, but everything's methodical and it's smooth, and there's nothing crazy going on. And that's really what makes it a good pit guy, is just smooth and steady, nothing crazy.
I remember doing when we did the first AMS race, and I went and when I was watching the race, I stood by Jimmy Babcock, and I would have him announce before Ryan's coming in. I'm like, tell everybody to get back, the leader's coming in. And I remember him announcing it. He'd announce it, Ryan's coming in, get back.
Yeah,
you can't do that at bigger races, but that was fun to be able to do that at a couple races.
They did that in Argentina at the Worlds. Remember, they were calling in Robert Battle.
Yeah.
They were right when his pit guys called him in. The announcer on the booth were like, "Robert Battle pit." I'm like, that's not fair.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it happens.
And at the Worlds, they normally don't say anything.
Yeah, you can't say anything. But he was the favorite there, and they made sure he knew he was supposed to pit.
So I think we pretty much down to the end here. I think the last question was basically like a typical guy saying, what is a typical week for you in your life, basically? Like, it's like, hey, I wake up, I go, this guy's kind of like, hey, do you practice, wrench, family stuff, traveling, like kind of like that type of thing?
Yeah, I probably do 2 races a month, I would say, on average. So it's maybe not that many, but whatever. Right now, it's probably about 2 races a month. So it's, wake up, get the kids kind of out of bed, and my wife works Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So I'm off if I'm in town, and she goes to work. Then I'm hang out with the kid, and when he takes a nap, maybe I'll do some work, getting cars ready, making orders, whatever the case is. And then the day she's home and I don't have a weekend, the race isn't coming up that weekend, and we try to just do something, hang out, whatever. But if if there's a race coming up that weekend, then if she's home, then I gotta get in the wrench room and get busy. So yeah, I mean, I don't really go to the track unless I'm breaking in an engine or like with an 8-scale car, you kind of want to, if you build a new car, you want to go break in the driveline, stuff like that. If there's 10-scale races coming up and it's a clay track, then I'll try to build some cars and I'll go down to Hobby Action and kind of run them in a little bit. But yeah, it's about kind of how my week goes.
So then, he's just saying, is there any hobbies you have outside RC, which you've talked about before, but you can talk about that a little bit and just, that's basically it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I got a few Traxxas cars now, the X-Max, their desert truck, and I just got one of their rock crawlers. So I play with that stuff, like chilling in the backyard, drinking a beer or whatever, kind of throw one of those around. And then, we go camping. I got a trailer and a Can-Am, and I used to be into mountain bikes. I used to do that quite a bit and road bikes, but that turned out to be a little bit too much work, so I kind of gave up on that. But, I mean, we haven't done much. With the kid, that's definitely changed things, but we got a couple camping trips and stuff planned. He's 9 months old.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're busy.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't want to pay for daycare. We didn't really want to send him out this young, so
yeah.
We're lucky we have a friend that will come over and watch him when I'm at races and when Stephanie goes to work, and then when I'm home, I just hang out with the dude. So yeah, it's not too bad. Luckily, he's good, sleeps good, doesn't cause problems yet. I'm sure he'll start soon.
I thought the first year was very easy, and I joked with my dad at one point. I said, this isn't as hard as everybody made it seem. And and he laughed, and he's like, it's coming. And I thought year 3 was the worst. Year 3 was, everybody says terrible twos, but it was year 3 for me, and that was really challenging. So to run around the house and everything, getting in stuff. So it gets fun. But it's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, we've already done that.
Oh, yeah?
Locking drawers, putting all the baby crap on everything.
Yeah, yep.
It definitely changes your perspective.
Sure does. Yeah. It's not about you anymore. You got someone else now. So.
Yeah. Good. Fun.
And only a little over 5 years away, and he'll be driving around those paper plates.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully he's into it. Right now he's kind of scared of them, but they're a little loud for him. He's got his mom's mentality. He's kind of afraid of everything. So hopefully he'll grow out of that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's about it as far as our questions go. There was a little, actually, we'll just finish this one because it just happened. But Eli Westrip was asking, what kind of foam prep do you do? Like, this is for 10 scale, different type of tracks, whether if you run slicks or treaded tires, do you, I guess he's asking, do you put holes in them? Do you cut them? Do you use foams? Like, I think he's kind of asking that type of thing.
Well, I want to do the least amount as possible, but
yeah,
it depends on the track. I mean, it depends on the amount of grip. If you're looking for traction, then sometimes I'll cut the ribbing off, or I'll punch. I mean, people punch holes, and I mean, I think you think it makes a difference. I don't think it makes a difference. I think it's just a pain in the ass, honestly. I think if you really want to make a difference, you're cutting the ribs off or putting the V cut down the center on the inside of the foam. If you're looking for more grip, just running old foam always helps. But typically on most of the stuff we run on, it's high bite. You want that stuff as firm as it can possibly be. You know what I mean? So yeah, it just depends on the track. It's not a all the time thing.
Yeah, what I was trying to explain to some people before is I said, what's kind of what I noticed that you like to do is you start off with, you try not to pull out all the tricks for your first 2 practice runs because then there's nowhere to go.
Right.
A lot of people are always asking me like how to prep all this stuff. And I'm like, well, if you're trying to do all this stuff before you actually drive the car, where do you go from there? One, and then
Right.
how do you know where you started at? And I think like I always try to compare, like, I think Spencer's the kind of guy that likes to pull out all the tricks for the very first 1 or 2 practice runs, and then he's trying to figure out where to go from there. Whereas I always think like the way you do it is you start off with basically very minimal tricks, and then see where you're at, and then you kind of tweak from there to try to get faster or extra pace. But I think, and what I've noticed is there is some advantages to doing that, because sometimes these tracks where you run where the traction gets more as you run, the track gets better. So sometimes you do all this prep to your tires or whatever, and you're prepping for something that you're not going to have when you're actually racing.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I always just try to just chill out in the beginning, is because you don't, when you first get to these races, you don't know what the track's going to do. So when you're trying to prepare for something, we think the track's going to do something, but it's not that way, when you first get there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, don't overthink it the first couple of days, because then you're just mentally worn out by the time the racing starts. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sometimes I try to just do the minimal, and Spencer sometimes calls me lazy, and I'm like, dude, I'll do it when I need to do it. Right now, who cares who wins practice? You know what I mean? So, but Spencer loves that stuff. He dreams about finding these little tricks and these little secrets, and I think he kind of got that from Kenwald. And I'm kind of more of a minimalist. I just like to race and see what happens. But that's why I think me and him work together well with tires sometimes, because I'm like, dude, we don't need to do all that. And then when we are doing all that stuff, I can like, hey, what are you doing? And he might not give me all the info, but
Close.
get it out of him.
Yeah, close enough. But yeah, I think that's always an interesting thing, is if you start with in a certain direction and you don't have anywhere to go, then I think it's important to have somewhere to go. And it's like we go to a lot of these races where it's popular and Truggy, people glue their insert to the wheel, because it doesn't move around or expand. And everyone's always like, did Ryan glue his inserts? I'm like, it's the first practice run. He didn't glue his inserts.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's not gluing the inserts. So
yeah,
it's like, check back for the main. It's like if he TQ'd with not gluing the inserts, he's not going to glue the inserts for the main.
Yeah,
if you beat him in the first round, he might glue his inserts for the second round.
Yeah. But I mean, what worked the weekend before doesn't always work the next weekend. So it's just like, you kind of got to have, you got to, like you said, you got to leave yourself some wiggle room there to make adjustments. You know what I mean? So it's just, I mean, that's kind of like going to the same thing, like going to the warm-up races is why I'm kind of over that, is when you go in with this mindset of like, you think you know what you're going for or what you're getting, it's like almost worse. I'd rather just be surprised than, act on my, just go off the cuff and trust my abilities and, what I'm feeling that moment, instead of having this, preconceived notion of it's going to be this way and I did this last time. I don't like that. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, give a shout out to your sponsors here, and friends, family, and then you can be done with it.
Yeah, thanks everybody that supports me. Long list of companies: Yokomo, Mugen, J Concepts, Maxima, Team Orion, ProTech, Aiming Hobbies. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Without all those guys, be able to do this, and thanks to my family. My wife is really good at understanding, especially now with the kids. She's she knows I got to go to work, and she's good about handling it when I got to leave. And thanks for having me on. It was fun. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, congrats on another win. Awesome to watch. I gotta admit, I stole Gotti's idea, and I wanted your Truggy after the race.
Yep.
What?
But
what? Oh man.
I have your Truggy here at the shop. Obviously, anytime you want it back, but I'll send you or should I just send your trophy? Should I send your trophy to your dad, or should I send it to you?
Yeah, you could probably send the trophy to my dad, and then I told you if you didn't take that truck, it was going to turn into an e-Truggy for the electric match next week. So
that's what I was concerned about. Is I was like, man, I go, this race was so awesome. The Truggy looks so good. Winning a national on last lap, 1 second. I'm like, I got to have this damn Truggy before he turns it into a Truggy.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have, but I might have done that.
Anyway, it's here chilling. It's awesome. And I love watching AJ and Brad and these guys look at it and just say, this is like a stock Truggy. Like, yeah, I guess it is. It's just a badass behind the wheel. And they always look at me like, come on, there's got to be something.
No, it's literally, you can buy every single thing on that thing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, damn you, Ruona. I wanted that for the studio.
Well, we'll send you the body. We're sending you a body.
Yeah, okay. That'd be cool. Hey, Ryan, I appreciate you autographing stuff for Jason. He sends it to me, and we give it away on the podcast, so appreciate all that, man.
Yeah, no worries.
Yep, cool.
No worries. Not a big deal.
All right. Well, have a good night. Thanks again, and we'll chat soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll see you, Ron.
See ya. I'm so happy I remembered that Truggy thing at the end.
Damn. It's heartbreaking.
I'll have to get a picture of it.
Oh, yeah, that would help.
That would help.
Jeez.
I'll guarantee he'll text me and say he needs that thing for the E-Nationals.
I hope he does.
He's like, hey, that Truggy? I need that for the E-Nationals.
I can't believe you.
Say Adam told me they were out of stock of Truggies, and I'll have to use that one. I'll be like, damn it.
You know what meme I'm thinking of right now? Seinfeld going, Rhoda.
Yep. Newman.
All right, on that note, we're closing it out. That was episode 197. Big thanks for Ryan being on the pod.
Three more to go.
Right.
Pretty awesome. I see some other guys, Justin Doyle, he's climbing up there.
Yeah.
We got...
There's a lot of them out there. Somebody was messaging me, and I'm like,
oh, yeah?
There's podcasting's all the rage now, so that's pretty cool.
It is. It's what was that meme? Something like in the 70s or 80s, it was like, let's start a band.
Yeah.
And now it's let's start a podcast.
Yeah, right. That's it. That's true. But you got to have fun doing it. Somebody messaged me and said, hey, how, is there money in it and stuff like that? It's like, you can't start a podcast thinking you're going to do that. You just got to have fun doing it. And that's it. And just keep pumping out the episodes as much as you can. So I like it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's funny because I feel like there is a lot of them. Sometimes the competition part does get me though. Like, it's like, I want to be, it's hard to take that out of it for me. Sometimes it's like, I want to be the best podcast, but
well, you're on the wrong one then.
You know what I mean? Like it's hard to take the competition side away from anything. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
God, I can't.
I try not to get wrapped up in that, but I like that
you're good at it. You're good at that.
Good at what?
No, you're good at being able to you know, follow along with the other podcasts. You like podcasts. You don't really see it as threatening.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
I do enjoy.
Yeah, you're always really good with other people and talking to them about it and everything.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I mean, and I like that. There's, like I said, there's other ones out there, like Justin's out there, and I talk to him, and it's just cool. I think the only thing about it now is it's kind of hard, like getting guests that you don't want, like a Spencer or Ryan to be on someone else's pod last week, and then you schedule them for this week, and it's like, I don't know. It just seems like you get.
Well, yeah, you don't want it to be overrun with the same content over and over again. Everyone just repeats the same thing. It's like, oh, we're gonna have Ryan on to talk about the Roar Nationals, and then all of a sudden Ryan has to go on and say the same exact thing over again.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I hope people, they do enjoy listening to these guys, and they do like the idea that some of these stories, some people do ask the same questions over and over again. Like, I think I brought up, like, my friend Kenny, like, he was a big Jordan fan, and he was like, he would ask, there's certain times, I forget who did it, but it was like, oh, ask Michael Jordan questions. He'll answer, 50 questions or something. And he's asking all these specific things. And then when it all comes out and he shows all the questions and answers, it's like, oh, how many times a week do you shave your head? It's like, he's got all these specific basketball related questions, and it's like, they pick the ones that are like, how many times do you shave your head?
Yeah.
But they like to know. I've noticed people like to know when Ryan started and all that, what makes it good, and it really is hard to put that into words, because even for him, because he doesn't know, really. He knows the effort, but it is pretty clear, though, that there's some people that have a little extra than others, and not that you can't enjoy it either way, but I mean, when you watch this like the Truggy main, another reason, like, we're talking about this, joking about this Truggy, but I wanted this Truggy because I felt it was such a great race that he ran, and I don't have a winning 8-scale car from him. I have the one that he gave to me that had the broken servo, but he was leading the world with it, and the servo broke, so he's like, just gave me the car. But I wanted this one because I felt like, it's like, God, this was an amazing race. In 45 minutes, he never crashed, never major bobble, had great pit stops. It was like from his end, a very perfect race. But yeah, his dad usually takes all of his trophies, so.
Oh, you have to send that one out to him.
I'll send it right to him.
I still can't believe it.
I'll send him the trophy. We'll see if his dad recognizes that there's a TQ plaque too. He'll be like, I got the trophy, but see the TQ plaque in here. Did that happen to get lost in shipping, or
what? Oh man, I'm hurt. You got the Truggy. I'm messaging you all weekend. Hey, give me a Truggy. Give me Ryan's Truggy, and you took it.
I'll get you something. I did ship you a bunch of cool stuff this week, though.
Yes,
I shipped you a kit. I shipped you a kit box, not exactly the one you wanted, but I did ship you a kit box.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
I shipped you some more awards that we can give out. One of them is signed by Ryan, and there were some wings in there.
Oh, great.
It's wings. What else do we have? The body. Yeah, his Truggy body, which I felt like you could use that as your Truggy replacement until I ship you another Truggy. I do have a Truggy I can ship to you.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. So you guys have a chance to win those items over at patreon.com/Radio Impound. And we'll be giving that stuff away. And I see you guys are posting photos to our Facebook page. Pretty cool photos. As if people receiving there's a Spencer Rivkin body in there Little kid holding that up. That was
Yeah,
fun.
I like when we see the photos. I always ask you.
Yeah.
You ask me. Did you see a photo? Did you?
Yeah, I like to see the stuff be given away. And that one with the Spencer Rivkin, I think it was Cletus Snow and his kid. That won that Spencer Rivkin, and Spencer went in there and even commented that he loved seeing that, and that's the cool stuff, you know. A little kid holding up the body, he liked it, and I'm just glad we were able to give that away. But appreciate the, you know, guys like Spencer and Mayfield's giving us stuff. So really cool. And then we gave away that Ryan Mayfield chassis that he autographed.
Yeah, the big second place chassis that he was joking about.
Jason Minich. You won that.
Yeah.
So yeah, patreon.com/Radio Impound. So when we get some of the new stuff in, we'll ship that stuff out.
Yeah, you got some good awards in there. That's going to be a good box. And the kit box you're going to like, I think, because it was a special edition B5M kit box with Spencer's car on the box, and it has him and Cavallari on the same box, which I think super unique, really.
That's awesome. Oh, well, thank you.
So I think will look good.
Yeah, I'm building up the little studio here, so I'm trying to get some stuff, and Jason's been hooking me up with some plaques and some cool stuff. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, man, it's going to look good.
All right. 197 in the books. We'll catch you next week.
Yes, you put it succinctly.
Suck what?
Succinctly, it means perfectly.
Oh, yeah. May I do that?